No one knows exactly how many people have died on the scattered islands, so people are left to guess about the real figures. And some residents fear that rebels have been moving into towns and are stealing aid. And there are worries that the Philippine government is using the storm to reimpose military rule. Veronica Pedrosa is live for us in the city of Ormoc in Leyte province. Veronica, as Step was reporting, there are a lot of rumors and confusion in the aftermath of the typhoon. Are people getting the information, the official information they need where you are?
I think that is exactly part of the problem, Darine. Communication systems are down. Power is down. It is simply not possible to communicate with people on a regular basis. So there are these areas where you really don't know what's happening, and rumors are spreading very quickly. For example, a lot of people were terrified of taking the road from here, Ormoc, to Tacloban, which has been the center of operations, or been the center of attention, because they'd heard there were hold-uppers, bandits, as it were, or rebels, and holding up cars. But that has turned out not to be true. The chief of the armed forces actually came to this city to tell that to local government officials. This city is trying its hardest to get on, despite the fact that they are saying that they could do with more help from the central government, which has been heavily criticized. They say that in this hospital, where I am at the moment, that they haven't even heard from the central government. I took a look around to find out what's the actual situation. Hospitals, schools, homes, places of worship and work, all devastated. About 30 people were killed by Typhoon Haiyan in Ormoc, but everyone's been affected by the destruction. The city government says 97% of people have been displaced. The roofs have been blown off nearly all the homes, but the rains keep coming. Graffiti on a riverbank is a cry for help against tremendous challenges. People here, including the military and government officials, are saying it's just not true that there's a serious law and order problem. Take a look at this queue behind me, for example. The people here have been waiting for petrol for hours, but they're queuing in an orderly and peaceful fashion. There's a real shortage of fuel, and police keep a close eye. But there haven't been any raids on grocery stores since the first day after the storm. The city is being run from another broken building, but in spite of the conditions, the people here say they're getting some order to the operations, getting by with what's available.
Today is much better than yesterday. Yesterday was much better than the day before, and so on and so forth. But we've tried as much as we can since day one to at least be systematic and organized, because we don't have too many resources.
Crucial to the aid effort, the chief of the Philippines Armed Forces told local government officials here that stories of bandits and communist rebels holding people at gunpoint on the roads were not true. This is a city in ruins, but the streets are filled with people trying to get on with their lives, even though everyone realizes it'll be months, possibly years, before public institutions like colleges and hospitals are back to normal. People are already starting to rebuild.
Veronica, just before we crossed to your report, you were saying, in fact, that you are at a hospital, or what looks like the remains of a hospital. Just show us around and tell us what you've seen there.
Yeah, Doreen, you know, this is a hospital that was built specifically for some of the country's absolutely poor. These are daily sugarcane farm workers who often need health care but can't afford it. When the typhoon came in, this entire corridor is the intensive care unit. They were not aware of the need to evacuate. The alert did go out, but they did not think it was so urgent they needed to evacuate. After 1 hour into the storm, it became very clear that everyone needed to get out. You can imagine the patients were running along here. You can see how strong the winds were. If you take a look, that nursing station is in complete ruins, and that is the situation right across the building. Unfortunately, this ICU was actually just recently rebuilt, so they have high-tech equipment that was all ready to run. The people here are saying they haven't heard from the Department of Health, the central government, about what they can do going forward. They still have about 8 patients here that they've just moved into the hospital lobby. They are desperate for medicines in particular, just even the most basic medicines, and they haven't had any help yet.
And speaking of help, Veronica, I mean, the priorities for them right now are what exactly, and what are they able to get?
They want food. They want medicines, as I said. Those are the 2 priorities. Shelter as well, because we are still in the rainy season. They're trying to do what they can, but building supplies are also in short supply. As you can imagine, everyone is trying to rebuild, and they're trying to do it on their own. These people are, as I say, traditionally part of the kind of rural poor. Leyte and Samar are among the Philippines' least developed provinces. So they are used to coping on their own. But this is a situation in which they are going to need help for a very long time, and it's taking a toll, I believe politically, that it's taking so long to come now at this very desperate time of need.
Okay, Veronica, thank you very much. That's Al Jazeera's Veronica Pedrosa reporting for us from Ormoc at the what seems to be the remains of a ruined hospital by that typhoon. Thank you, Veronica. Well, let's just take a look at some of the key areas in the center of the disaster zone. We just heard from Veronica, as you were seeing, in Ormoc, in a city that's badly damaged and cut off from the central government. Well, the main city of Tacloban is one of the worst hit areas. Aid is now beginning to trickle in. The island of Cebu is the main distribution center. Supplies from around the world are being flown into the local airport over there. So from Cebu, the aid is then being carried by air and by water from island to island. Craig Leeson has more off the coast of northern Cebu.
We have spent the night on the MV Gemini 6. It's a relief supply ship that's heading up to the typhoon-ravaged islands off the northern tip of Cebu. This ship is packed with food and water and even building materials, as you can see here, so that the people on these islands can start the process of rebuilding their lives. It's being sent up there by a local government from Cebu and is being organised by a rapid response unit, a local civilian volunteer group. And all of these goods have been donated either by the government or by private individuals. And one of them has already been up there and told us that the island has been 95% destroyed. People are living up there without any shelter and very little food and water, and the medical condition up there is quite dire. One of the main problems is diarrhea and pneumonia, particularly amongst the children who have no clean water and no shelter to live in at night time.